YouTube. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And today we're just going to do a couple little things here just to kind of show you what we got going on here. Bring you in the shop for today, see what's going on. And I came across a problem, and this problem come up when I went to take the breather box out of my quad to gain access so I can run my brake lines back to my rear caliper that I'm installing. I just took the rear end out and put another rear in it, and I'll show you that after we show you the fix that I just came up with that might help you guys out. When I opened my breather box, I noticed the seeds from my bird feeder, the shells, have been going in my breather box. So I got myself a little mouse trying to make himself a home inside my breather box. Well, I'll show you where he's going. What he's doing is going down that hole right there, because he can't get in through the carburetor, and he can't get through the bottom because there's a plug in the bottom, and there's no other place to get in but here. So we're going to fix that. So basically what I did, I took some of this screen and I just cut it a round piece, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this, and I'm hoping it's going to work because you guys are going to see this for the first time just like I am. So I'll get you set up here and we'll start working on that. So basically what I did was cut it in a square, and then I cut the corners off of it to kind of make it round. And now I'm going to bend these ends up and we're going to do that all the way around. Until it fits in the hole pretty snug. Yeah, we're going to do that all the way around and hope it works, because we can't have no mouse in our breather box. I done had to catch one that was in my toolbox on my trailer that I just built. He didn't waste no time getting in it either. I mean, immediately, as soon as I put the toolbox on there, he done moved in. I'm like, you little bastard. This is my home, not yours. So we might have to bend them a little bit further. We're just going to go with that for now. And we're just going to try to push it down in there as evenly as possible. And then we'll grab this side since it's going down further. Now, he ain't getting down in that hole. So we just got it wedged in there. So now he can't get down in there. And this is your snorkel to keep you from getting water inside this breather box and your carburetor and stuff. So it has to be open. So I think that'll work. It's just squished in there because this here goes around the tank. There's a hole on the tank. I'll show you here. There's a hole on the tank there that slides into right there. That tank needs cleaned up. And I'm going to try to do some frame cleanup here. This is nasty. This is the quad that Jim gave me, and we're going to try to clean all that up a little bit. You know, it's not going to be a video. But here's what I was working on, and I'm in the middle of bleeding it, but when I was bleeding it, I had to fix a leak down here, and I'm hoping it did fix. But I'm going to take you off the tripod here and show you what I've used. And I'm not real sure I like the setup, but you know, it's not really set up for a rear disc brake. So my bracket's just a little bit crude. So bear with me here. What I did, I used a master cylinder off of a Polaris 325. All right. Then I run the master cylinder down to the same bolt I used to mount this block. I took this bolt out and found one that was longer so that it would go through and protrude out the back side of it. And then this was the proportioning valve, or the metering block or distribution block. This is your incoming line, and this one went to the rear brakes, the front brake, and this one went to the other front brake, and then the other side went to the rear brake. Well, I plugged these two, and I had a problem, and it's still leaking somewhere here. Daggone it. I'm gonna have to redo this. I'm gonna go through a lot of brake fluid getting this thing sealed up. So I'm probably gonna have to take this off, back off, and JB weld all that and be done with it. It's not really sealing. I tried JB weld, but brake fluid's getting on it, and it's probably not allowing the JB weld to do its thing. So I'm probably gonna have to take this back off. But this is the Polaris 325 block mounted to a piece of aluminum that has a hole in the top of it that mounts behind the bolt that holds the existing block. I would like to have replaced this one and used the one master cylinder to do all three brakes, but that ain't the way it's going to work. So they're still going to be separated. I'm not using a foot pedal. So then I ran my line from here all the way back through the loom in that wire, and then through this, down through here, into the hole that's in between where the motor mount is, where everything else goes in there. I can't get you down in there. And then I ran it down here, and it's got a flex hose on it so that when the swing arm swings, this doesn't break. And you got your rubber rings on it to keep it from wearing into the hose. So then I drilled and tapped the swing arm for a 1/4-20 and mounted the original mount that was on the 325 Polaris, and then ran it to the hose. And I was going to use the 325 caliper, but it was going to be too complicated because the setup that I had mounted here for the foot pedal is stuck out too far. It was going to make me have to modify my plastic. I didn't want to cut my plastic all to pieces, so we're going to eliminate the foot pedal. There ain't going to be no foot pedal on this bike. And so the reason I didn't use the Polaris caliper was because the Polaris caliper has two lines that goes in it. One goes to the handbrake and the other one goes to the foot brake. Well, I'm not going to complicate things by using a foot pedal, and I ain't got my shock hooked up yet either, so don't say nothing. Shh. I'm in the middle of bleeding, that's why that wrench is sitting there. So I went out there, I gave my buddy Aaron this Linhai bike, and he had the right caliper. If you notice, there's only one line going to it. Well, it's exactly the same caliper, except the Polaris, this hole here was drilled out and tapped, and you put 2 lines on it. And I just robbed one off of his, and then I went and bought him another one to put on here. So we had to re-bleed the brakes on this anyway, because we had to buy a master cylinder for it. Anyway, so it's gonna be forever before he can come from Canada, because they got the border locked down. Oh my daggone, why is my alarm going off? So that's what we're working with, is I think it's a 2007 Linhai master cylinder, caliper. So it's working, and it's working great. And I welded this bracket to the housing, and then I welded another one on the other side here, and that's where it mounts. So I used a front rotor. I turned down the outer edge to take all the thread or the studs off. I cut all this off, and then this is the original hub that went on the rear right there, like that one. And then, just to make it look a little neater, I took a boot off of an old breather box like that, and I just made a boot to go in there just to hide all that stuff and to keep dirt from getting all over everything. And I made my plates here to mimic the backing plate that used to be on it. So this here, all it does is imitates this. So it holds the bearing in place. So now we can get rid of these drum brakes. And yes, that rear end is going to be cleaned up and repainted, and the aluminum is going to be painted or cleaned up, and I'm going to sell that whole unit. So we've got new racks. Well, not new, they're used, and they have issues. They're straight, but the holes right there on both sides have broken off bolts in them. So I'm going to have to drill those out and tap them to 1/4-20. And both of them's exactly the same way. They both got broken off bolts in them. So we've done a lot of replacing stuff on this and cleaning up, and to be quite honest with you, this here is not a brand new carburetor, but it sure looks like one. I sure wish I had that cleaned up like that other motor over there. So that's where we're at, guys. We got the plastic back off of it, trying to make it great again, or make it great. So as soon as I get that leak fixed, I believe that'll work. Now the only other issue that I may have, and I'm hoping it's not going to be a bad issue, is this here is the brake switch that goes in the original lever. Well, what this does is, if you don't have it neutral, if you pull this handle back, it presses that and allows you to start it in gear. Well, this right here came with the Polaris, and I'm hoping that this will act exactly the same. I've already made a pigtail for this to plug in to the same place here. So I've got this in line right now just to test it and see if it's going to work. Now once I've got the line bled and the leak fixed, then we can press that and check the continuity on this. And if it shows continuity when you press the switch, then it's going to work exactly the same as this right here. So I don't know where I put that switch. As soon as I find it here, I'll show you that switch that I made, or wire that I made for it. All right, right here is the wire that I made for it. Now this here should plug into that, but guess what? It's not. It's opposite. So I'm going to have to cut this wire and splice it onto this plug, because this plug plugs right up to that. And then I want this to plug into that. If this will show continuity when you push the brake. I can't check it until I get pressure on it. Once I've bled the brakes, then it'll work. So that's a minor issue. If nothing else, I'll put this on a push button, because I got to build a dash for it. We're going to build a dash, and because I had to use this master cylinder, I had to move my winch button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a dash. Hopefully we'll mount with these bolts, or make it so the mount goes inside here and mounts with those bolts there underneath the handlebars to come up to hold the panel that I'm going to make for this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I've got a speedometer, digital speedometer coming for this. And it's coming from China. We all know what that means. Hurry up and wait. So this dash is not going to be on it no more. We're going to try to find us some LED lights that are 2 red ones and a green one, and we're going to make a whole new light. Actually, we won't even need these lights, because the new speedometer has all this. It doesn't have reverse, I don't think. It might. It says it's compatible with the Big Bear 400, so we'll see. Then I got to make a place for this, which is your reverse, and the switch. So this is going to all be different now, once I've got it done. So anyway, I think I've took up enough of y'all's time. We do have plenty of clearance for the wheels, so this is going to work out pretty nice. And I hope you guys learned something about how to keep mice out of your breather box. So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.